Before I get into the main portion of this video, I'd first like to begin with a thank you for all the positive feedback I've been getting regarding the Snake Crane Wing Chun series. I know you're waiting for the next installment, but there's a matter that requires my attention first, so those videos will resume very shortly. So why am I doing this video? It's simple. After appearing on Alex Richter's podcast, The Kung Fu Genius, and getting an overwhelmingly positive response, it appears that a certain gentleman that we mentioned in that podcast wasn't happy that there are other voices in the Wing Chun space. This gentleman is who we affectionately refer to as the
Snake and Crane Oil Salesman.
Despite him claiming never to watch any of my videos, which is fine by me, he seems to be particularly annoyed when I release one, to the extent where he calls mutual friends of mine and screams down the phone at them about this issue and that, even if he's not involved in the subject matter. I mean, this isn't a very cultivated approach from somebody professing to be a master of these internal methods. I think he needs to take a look at his practice a little bit more. As expected, he dropped another predictably pitiful response video full of victim theatrics, feigning Buddhist attachment while he drips with bitterness. Now, usually I wouldn't respond to this kind of childish drama, but I won't sit idly by while this snaky character continues his long-standing pattern of misinformation, manipulation, and image management. This isn't about ego or opinion. This is about dealing with someone who is a net negative to the Chinese martial arts community. A wannabe martial cultivator whose track record is riddled with shady conduct, broken relationships, and intellectual dishonesty. So let's address two of the most manipulative tactics you're going to see this person use in the video who's already done and the ones that are coming up in the future. The two main tactics used are narrative flooding and performative victimhood. Those employing these tactics don't need evidence, but volume. When this fails, they will retreat behind this mask of victimhood, always claiming to be attacked personally or otherwise. This is just another tactic designed to disarm criticism without addressing the truth. Question him on his research, it's an attack. Offer an alternative theory, attack. Call him out on his bad behavior, it's an attack. These are not attacks, but rather observations on how he interacts with others. My advice to him is, if you don't like people shining a light on your bad behavior, just stop doing it. For those who have known this individual for any amount of time, know that this is not from a place of sincerity, but rather a strategy. A passive-aggressive behavior cloaked in moral superiority, used to deflect scrutiny and manipulate the emotional tone of conversations. And it works if no one pushes back, and they haven't until now. For if good men do nothing, evil will prevail. For this individual to successfully put across this narrative of us being a bad faith party, he has to make people question our motives and make some of his own up. To that end, let's just address each one of those one at a time. The first claim is that both Alex and I are jealous of him and that I am some kind of wannabe. Let's break that down. Alex has a very successful school in the States, as well as an incredibly successful presence online and social media with his amazing podcast, The Kung Fu Genius. Why would this man be jealous of someone like him? As for me, I have my own thriving full-time academy with hundreds of students, together with my business partner who's like my brother. Been training together for 25 years because I actually value people and relationships. I just don't cycle through business partners when I find no use for them. On top of that, we have hundreds of students around the world, including Europe, Asia, and the States, from where I've just came back from on my 6th successful tour, where I was presenting and teaching and really cracked the market over there, something that this person could never hope to do. You also inferred that Alex and I may have some kind of psychological problem, and that's why we're personally attacking you, although we're not. If you watch the podcast, you can hear that me and Alex both talk about this strange relationship we have with the Snakey One and refer to him as this disgruntled ex-girlfriend. This is because Alex and I met in the States by chance and we ended up bonding over our shared, very strange and alarming experience with this particular individual who had some kind of unhealthy obsession with us and insisted that we needed to train with him and learn from him. But it's an offer that he and I both declined, quite politely actually, and ever since then this guy, the salesman, has just been on our case and after us and has grown to have some kind of disdain. What became clear when Alex and I were exchanging our experiences with this gentleman was how alarmingly similar our stories were. Now, this shows some kind of compulsive behavior, but I'm not a psychologist. I can say though that I am not the mentally irregular one here. As for me being a wannabe, well, let's break that down as well. Wing Chun, Kung Fu in general, is designed for combat. Now, I have titles across multiple martial arts at the regional, British, European and world level. I've taught and trained people who have gone on to compete and win at K1 level, as well as MMA, even going as far as to compete in the UFC. Whereas the Snake and Crane Oil Salesman once competed and won a Orange Belt Division Judo Championship when he was 12. I mean, I remember when I got my first 50-yard swimming certificate at that age. My book and my research has been reviewed by scholars and is right now being academically peer-reviewed. Why on earth would I ever want to be like you? I would never set the bar so low for myself. The next claim was about me not adhering to Chinese martial arts ethics. Really? When did backstabbing make its way into martial ethics? The Snakey One constantly undermines people when they gain traction online. It's like he hates it. The most recent example I can think of is when my good friend Eleanor released this great set of tutorials on force flow. This prompted this individual to respond with this passive-aggressive rebuttal, something that he was forced to apologize for in private, obviously, afterwards. A personal example of this is when I released my series on the history and lineages of Wing Chun Kyun. He hit the roof. He took it as an affront that I would dare travel along a road that he'd already gone on, as if no one else is allowed to do it but him. I said to him at the time that if his original work was credible, he would welcome the scrutiny, not fear it. He says he stands for truth, but the truth threatens him. The next claim is him teaching is not all about the money. Well, obviously this is not true, as if you're a professional martial artist, you should be getting paid for your time and expertise. That's never been the issue. What has been is whether or not his practices have been ethical or not. And to that end, after speaking to his ex-representatives from Italy, the Netherlands, the UK, and even my own weapons master, they've all confirmed and recounted various stories of his financial exploitation of others. He all but claims to run non-profits, yet charges premium fees. If it's about the art, why is it every disagreement online is followed by some kind of sales pitch for buying his new book? However, upon reading it, these people are always disappointed because there's never any information that answers their questions. All of this is verifiable with a simple search on one of the many social media platforms he engages on. His next claim is based around his appeal to authority based on the fact that he's lived in China for 16 years and that I've only been 5 or 6 times, or is it 3 or 4 or less? The point is, he has no idea. He doesn't know, and how could he? He doesn't know who I've seen, how long I went for, what I trained, what I achieved, what I researched, any of it. This is all conjecture on his part, all designed to discredit anything that I might say or any research I may present. When continuously pushing this narrative of living in the trenches in China for 16 years, researching and studying and training, he conveniently leaves out the fact that he spent a good portion of that time in Australia, as well as in Thailand, where I'm sure he got up to a lot of in-depth cultivation. But let's, for the sake of argument, accept his claim that he stayed in China for the full 16 years. Staying in one place for X amount of time does not equate to having immersed oneself in research or in the culture, as is clearly evidenced by the fact that he can't even order a cup of coffee in the native language. For all that time there, what did he even achieve? What did he train? Who did he see? Let's compare your vast time there compared to my paltry amount of time and see who saw who gained more knowledge, who done more research. Let's compare with proof, documentation, videos, etc. I mean, for all that time researching in the mainland, can he demonstrate any information in his book that was actually unique, that he discovered and didn't copy and paste from other sources, namely from Wayne Jung or Hendrik Santo? When you look into it, reading his book, it becomes painfully clear that his research is basically him taking these ideas from other researchers and connecting dots where there aren't any, even when discussing using the research of Wayne and Hendrik. What method did he use to verify their findings? What process did he use to validate any of the research and his investigations? Was it the same method he used when investigating Hoffman or Lin from Black Flag? I mean, we know how they ended up. If his research was as robust as he says it is, he wouldn't fear public discourse, but he does. Personally, I would prefer some kind of live debate where we pick a subject and we stick to it, and then we see whose theories and opinions hold up under the weight of critical thinking. However, I predict that this individual will lack the courage of his convictions and will make all sorts of righteous excuses to slither out of any kind of public discourse, just the same way as he did when trying to meet face to face. A last word on research. The snake crane oil salesman always appeals to authority in an effort to substantiate his claims. The authority in this case is the Foshan Intangible Cultural Heritage Museum, representatives of which I had spoken to a few months before he did actually. And at that time, they kindly offered to accept my book as the first non-Chinese publication to be accepted into the museum. I politely declined purely because I wasn't happy with the edit and I wanted a better front cover. But they were going to do this without any kind of in-depth research or review of my work. So this is something that I'm going to address later on in my Snake Crane Wing Chun Exposed series. His next claim, that he is not teaching Snake Crane Wing Chun. Well, here's video of him not teaching Snake Crane Wing Chun. And the final claim for this video. The Snake Crane Oil Salesman only chooses to promote love and positive energy. This claim is particularly delusional, seeing as though only a couple of months ago he shared edited text messages between two well-known individuals within the Wing Chun community, friends of mine, in an effort to pit them against each other. Luckily, this didn't work out very well for our slippery little friend because he was quickly found out. Does positive energy also include falsely accusing me and people that I know of illegal activities in an attempt to tarnish our character, thinking it would undermine my research, all because you're terrified of anyone exposing the shaky foundations of yours? A final thought, and something very telling to look out for at the end of this person's last sad video. The Snake Crane Oil Salesman pretty much told on himself, because if you listen to his words, in his hubris, he wants to not inform the public, yet he wants to educate them because he thinks they're stupid. Listen carefully to how he speaks. Condescension cloaked in spiritual platitudes. He doesn't want critical thinkers, he wants loyal followers. You're welcome to follow him if you want, but do it with your eyes open. As I outlined at the beginning, characters such as the Snake Crane Oil Salesman will seek to drown out the voices of others by releasing a steady stream of videos in an attempt to control the narrative. To that end, I'm committing to answering or responding with a video of my own every time this person releases something that attempts to defame or discredit me or my friends. This person, this individual, must be taught how to behave with other Kung Fu practitioners, especially when they're not in front of his face.